Amita, our next guest is that dynamic leader driving India's digital transformation and integrating cutting-edge technologies in governance, especially in the northeastern part of the country. It is our honor to welcome Shri Jyotiraditya Scindia, Minister of Communications and Minister of Development of the northeastern region, for a conversation on navigating the AI revolution with Madhav Das Gopalakrishnan. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Hina, as well as Abhita, and thank you so much, Mr. Scindia, for joining us. Let me begin with the one question that's on many people's minds. We're in the midst of a huge technological transformation. As the Minister for Telecom, we're shifting from 5G to 6G. What exactly is this going to entail? What would you like to tell the people in terms of the huge opportunity, the democratization? Because, you know, what really this technological change is going to drive?
So let me take a step back, Madhav. First of all, it's great being here at the Times Now Summit. It's become an annual fixture on my calendar. So congratulations to you, and thank you for having me. 6G is something that's on the anvil. The process is being rolled out today with regard to global standards on technology, interoperability being laid out. That is being done both at the ITU, the International Telecommunications Union, and 3GPP, both standard-setting bodies for the world, have been so for 2G, 3G, 4G, and 5G, and now on to 6G. We see those standards and the rollout happening only by 2030. So we are still in the ideation mode, if you will. But the big difference here is that India was nowhere on the table with regard to global standards setting for telecom on 3G or 4G. We made our first foray on 5G when on 5GI we submitted a proposal for ubiquitous connectivity across the world. And this time around, as far as 6G is concerned, we are partners on that round table. This is the first time in the history of independent India that India today is on the standard setting table for telecom technology that's being rolled out. We've set up, as you're probably aware, the Bharat 6G Alliance, which was put together, the vision that was put together by Prime Minister very, very early, when even 5G had not been fully rolled out in 2023, post-COVID. And the B6G Alliance was constituted in 2024 with 14 members to start with. It's now grown to 85 members. And who are these members? They're people from the entrepreneurial world, from the academia, IIT professors and such, from industry, telecom service providers, original equipment manufacturers, and across the board. And these 85 individual constituents have been divided into 7 working groups. So we've got issues that we are handling where we're going to contribute to standard setting from spectrum all the way till sustainability and green energy applications and uses of 6G. And as of date, our commitment is that we would like to contribute 10% of patents, global patents for 6G. And as on date, over the last 4 years, we have contributed close to 4,000 patents already. That's under our belt. It's the first time that India has ever been on that standard setting table. Now, what will 6G do? And I think that's extremely important to understand in layperson's terms. So what you have in terms of 5G is higher speeds, lower latency, and a thicker pipe through which more content can go through. What 6G does is that it exponentially improves the speed, brings down the latency to milliseconds, and also provides a much broader pipe. So take, for example, I held a health camp in Gwalior Chambal about a week ago, where we had doctors come in from across the country, and we did a robotic surgery. Now, the robotic surgery was done close to about 20-25 feet away from the patient, and I had the honor of actually witnessing that robotic surgery. So imagine this, that the doctor has to actually go down right now and to the local hospital and stay 25 feet away and conduct the robotic surgery. Imagine the doctor sitting in Delhi and over a 6G pipe can conduct that robotic surgery in rural India, sitting here in Delhi. That's the power of 6G. Imagine a student sitting in Raipur in Chhattisgarh or in Rewa, logging into Stanford University, Harvard University, Yale courses live, sitting in rural India. That for you is the power of 6G. Imagine a patient going through a health checkup and through telemedicine conducting live tests and the doctor looking at the results and giving the prescription within a matter of minutes. That for you is the power of 6G. So there are tremendous applications that we can look at. We right now are have already put in place 100 5G use case labs in all the technical universities across India, and we are getting entrepreneurs to come on board to develop new applications for that.
So you're essentially saying it's going to help bridge the digital divide. It's going to be a lot more democratization.
It's not only going to bridge the digital divide, it's actually going to bring the world live to your doorstep as is. So one thing is to be able to statically connect digitally to the world. The other is to have applications come to your doorstep as you have, as opposed to you having to go to avail of those services in far off places, actually happening at your doorstep.
All of this is also happening the backdrop of AI being rapidly adopted. How much of this 6G application, will have an impact as far as AI and taking it forward?
So let me explain that. What telecom infrastructure is it's the carriageway and it's the guardrails. The only difference being that you are able to see a highway, you're able to see a railway line. A telecom network is, for all practical purposes, quote unquote, invisible. But those are the guardrails and the carriageway on which a lot of that content moves. And that content moves with ultra low latency at extremely high speeds. And AI is a form of that content, and that feeds the robustness of the network itself. And the network improves itself also based on AI.
Right, because we are talking a lot about Aatmanirbharta, you're talking a lot about 6G. We also saw how, for instance, since Operation Sindoor, there's a lot of emphasis on how we need to be completely dependent on our own indigenous technologies and not be dependent on any other country. How much of that is going to be the focus when it comes to the adoption of these new technologies?
Oh, a lot of it. So, as you're probably aware, Madhav, we've pierced the I don't want to call it the glass ceiling, but the wired ceiling in terms of telecom equipment. For the first time in the history of the world, the telecom equipment manufacturing countries, which are a club of four, literally, club of four in which there is no US of A, there is no Germany, there is no England, it's just Finland, Sweden, South Korea, and China. And we've, with Prime Minister's resolve and his perseverance, we've come up with our own 4G telecom domestic Aatmanirbhar stack. And we've entered that club of 4G. We're now going to evolve that 4G stack towards 5G. So a lot of that is going to be built domestically. And even our AI models, a lot of our smaller language models that are being built with higher ROI and focused interventions will produce huge amount of results for the world community going forward.
Right. One question that all telecom ministers perhaps have to contend with is call drops. How much of that, when will it happen?
So let me tell you, if you look at the robustness of the Indian telco network, and we have 4 players today in India, and very few countries can actually boast of having 4 players operating in a market. The smallest player in India has close to 100 million subscribers, 92.55 to be exact, which is BSNL. And across all 4 telcos, one of the first things I did when we came in is I sat with TRAI and we put together very clear SLAs. service level agreements and KPIs in terms of 7 parameters that we look at: call drop, jitter packet drop, the robustness of the network, connectivity, uptime, and all 4 telcos today are operating at global standards. Having said that, I've built out a glide path over the next 15 months, where we are going to be tightening each one of those parameters, from uplink, call drop, jitter packet rate, all those 7 parameters, to even better than world class. And we're graduating our 4 telcos towards that even higher than global standard over the next 15 months.
Right. You mentioned BSNL. In last year, we had seen several of the BSNL employees, in fact, protesting. They were raising concerns about delays of the rollout of 4G and 5G. They were talking also about the flagging the subscriber base coming down. How are you going to address all these issues?
So let me correct you, Madhav, on both issues. First of all, we have the reason why the rollout of 4G has taken a lot of time is because we've come up with our own Aatmanirbhar stack. Countries across the world haven't done it. India did it in 22 months, because Prime Minister is very clear: if BSNL has to roll out 4G, we are not buying foreign equipment. We're doing it on the basis of our own equipment. And ladies and gentlemen, today, 100,000 towers of BSNL are radiating and are on the ground, on air, radiating 4G signal on our own Aatmanirbhar stack. Basis that, we are now looking at expanding that network. So 100,000, 98,000 towers to be exact are pretty much done. We're trying to expand that to another 50, 60,000 towers, ensure the robustness of that network, and then very quickly switch to 5G. Switching to 5G is not going to be as difficult as coming up with our own Aatmanirbhar 4G stack, because you need to put in additional BTS, you need to redefine the core software a little bit, and your system is up and rolling. The second point that you made was with regard to?
One was the rollout of 4G technology. We were also talking about other issues. In fact, the subscriber base sort of...
so the subscriber base, yeah. So I'd like to create that fallacy as well. In June 2024, we had 8.55 subscribers, 8.55 crore subscribers. Today, we have 9.27 crore subscribers. So the subscriber base has gone through a process of accretive growth as opposed to dilutory growth, which was the case earlier on. So we're winning back the confidence of our customers. Of course, CRM solutions have to be extremely robust. Customer SAT scores have to be monitored on a regular basis. And we've put in place systems to be able to do that. I'd also like to tell you that BSNL, after 18 years, the last time BSNL made a quarterly profit was in 2008. After 18 years, in 2007, in 2025, October to December, we made our first quarterly profit of 262 crores. Net, I'm talking about net profit, not on an EBITDA basis, not an operating basis. Net profit of 262 crores, and the following quarter, 280 crores. On an EBITDA basis in 23-24, on an operating margin basis, we made close to about 2,395 crores. So we are now spinning out cash. 24-25, that grew to 5,100 crores. And my hope is this year, which closes next week, on the 31st of December, Tuesday next week, we should increase that 5,000 crore operating profit by double-digit figures in fiscal 25-26.
But that brings me to my next question, which I was about to ask you, because you've ruled out privatization of BSNL. Now, many would have argued that this period in which you're talking about the profitability, that during that period there was also heavy losses that were incurred, and this is ultimately taxpayer money that would have gone into BSNL.
No. So I need to, again, I need to explain the principles of financial accounting. Okay. So, telcos, today BSNL, as I mentioned to you, is throwing out cash of close to about 5,300 crores, which means what? I have a huge capex plan in place for the next 5 years. Why? Because I got to compete against the big boys. I need to increase my customer base. In order to be able to do that, I need to put in capex. I'm going to be funding a lot of that capex through internal accruals. And where are those internal accruals going to come from? They're going to come from my cash surpluses, which I'm generating through my operating profit. When you go from the EBITDA operating profit line to your bottom line, you're talking about interest costs, you're talking about depreciation. Now, last year, we put in place the highest capex in the history of BSNL, close to 20,000 crores worth of capex in one single year. What does that mean? If you take depreciation on an SLM, straight line method, and you take a very simple calculation of back of the envelope 5%, you're talking about close to about 1,500 crore hit, non-cash hit to your bottom line. So even though you make an operating profit, you may make a net loss, but that's a non-cash loss. So I think it's important to be able to understand that from an accounting perspective.
No, because it's the government that talks about, maximum governance, minimum government, which basically means that government
So
should
I'm
not be in
telling
the
you,
business of business.
I made 5,395 crores of operating profit last year. I hope to increase that by double digits. Now do the math.
Right. I'm just going to quote the TRA chairman, Mr. Lahoti, who said that AI is central to telecom powering self-optimizing networks, predictive maintenance and cybersecurity. How is the government going to shape this framework, which includes, areas such as data privacy, ensuring that there are no network vulnerabilities, basically securing the networks of users?
So we are already using AI. So if you think AI is something that is going to be put in place over the next couple of months, a couple of years, it's already in our system. It's embedded in our networks. We use AI to be able to source spam calls. We use AI to be able to source fraud calls. We use AI in Sanchar Sathi, which is our app, to be able to detect fraud. We use AI in our financial fraud risk indicator, which has been appreciated by RBI and it's been mandated by all banks across the country to be used. We used AI in Astra, which is our AI-based recognition technology, which identifies a single person with multiple SIMs. And let me give you an example. So we had Madhav Das, who went around getting SIMs on his name, and we had one individual, Madhav Das, who had close to about 95 SIMs on his name. And the only way we could get that catch Madhav Das is because we used AI to be able to source that. So AI is a very much already a part of our networks, Madhav.
Right. But, this is how serious a problem is this? How often do you find these individuals, a lot of fraud, a lot of security? Recently, when there were Pakistani individuals
So
caught,
let me
SIMs.
give you an example. So with Sanchar Sathi, we have detected and shut down close to about 2 crore WhatsApp connections. And again, Sanchar Sathi is one of the biggest successes in this country. Why? Because it's a citizens movement. It's an application that's out there, but the only information we get is through Jan Bhagidari. When people come and become part of the system and report wrong things that are being done against their own numbers, whether they check their own mobiles and how many mobiles are there against their own numbers, whether spam calls or fraud or theft, that assists us being able to put the firewalls in place to be able to secure our networks for our citizens. So it's a very much a Jan Bhagidari input, and I'd like to thank all of those who are crusaders along with us on the Sanchar Sathi app and other apps that make this possible.
Right. You're also, of course, in charge of the Department of Posts, and you're looking at a transformative period for the department. You're moving from, the traditional posts, inlands, etc., to more logistics, more e-commerce provisions. How is this going to happen, and what are you envisioning for this?
So the e-commerce market in India is just going to exponentially grow. We are today at close to about 11 lakh crore market, which is going to grow to over about 30 lakh crores by 2030. E-commerce is going to be pretty much de rigueur of a part of our lives. And if you look at the capability of providing that service to every single citizen across our country, there is no other logistics network that's better than India Post. Why? Because we have 6.5 lakh villages in our country, and we have 1,65,000 points of presence of India Post. It is my Grameen Dak Sevak and his value of trust and being able to deliver that is uppermost in citizens' mind. So we are using our network to be able to deliver goods across the length and breadth of India. On the 17th of March, we unveiled 3 new products of India Post. 24 Speed Post, which ensures that your Speed Post letter will reach in 24 hours. That's our commitment. 48 Speed Post and 24 Speed Parcel, which will ensure that parcels less than 5 kilos reaches within 24 hours. We have used technology in a huge way. For the first time, a public sector system like India Post, huge in its reach. We've got over 4 lakh family members as GDSs who work with us. We use technology. We've hired a chief marketing officer. We've hired a chief technology officer. We've got 6 verticals that we work with between parcels, mail, citizen-centric services, international mail, Post Office Savings Bank, PLI. We've got a vice CTO working across all divisions. We've put in place IT 2.0, which will be a live tracking system for each one of your articles. Just like in every other logistics provider, you can monitor once you input and you book your article exactly at which station it is, when it will reach your residence. We're bringing technology as a huge input into our value addition. We have today a revenue run rate of close to 13,200 crores. We are hoping to close this year, which again is in another 2 days. These are the 2 passions that I have in my life right now. One is India Post, the second is BSNL. I hold a quarterly review across both, across each vertical. We hope to close this year with a double-digit increase in sales. So pick a number and be my guest, but I will be out with the results by the 15th of April. We want to make it a logistics powerhouse for India. And my fervent hope is to make India Post profitable. Today we are a cost center to Government of India, which means that our cost structure is way beyond our revenue structure. My target is by 29-30, I want to make it a profit center for Government of India and hopefully take it public.
Right. I want to ask you a few questions also related to the Northeast, a few political questions because this is political season. What's happening in Assam is quite interesting. We're seeing a number of desertions from the Congress party. We're seeing, of course, the Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma, of course, welcoming several of them. What exactly do you think is the reason? What's happening in the state of Assam?
Well, this is not limited to the state of Assam. I think this is a malaise that has struck the principal opposition party across the country. When in any organization, what drives an organization and what drives a brand is not only the brand name of that company, but it is the human resource that adds to that brand name. If you remove the human resource, that brand name becomes extinct. And we've seen that happen in India in the last 2 decades. Many companies that we used to live by today no longer exist. And I think a similar thing is happening to the principal opposition party, where if you do not value your human resource, you're not able to acquire great human resource, you're not able to retain them, you're not able to satisfy them, then this is what's going to happen. On the one hand, you're losing your customer base because no one believes in your value proposition. On the other hand, you're losing your biggest asset, which is what? It's not a family name. It's the human resource of your organization. So what happens to an organization that loses customer base and its people?
But, there's a counter view. The counter view is that, obviously you're going to be dropping a few names. People, there would be disappointment within the party for the tickets that are being given to those who come in from outside.
No, this is not
Wouldn't
about...
that lead to internal dissent
You're missing the wood for the trees. This is not about cutting tickets and dropping a few names. That's par for the course. That happens in every state election, in every general election, across every single political party. That's not something new. But what's changed that today no one wants to be a part of that political organization? And on the other hand, you've got Prime Minister Narendra Modi that is moving forward and upward and taking the country forward and upward. Look what happened with Ukraine. He sent me, along with 3 of my cabinet colleagues, to Ukraine with a very explicit instruction. You're not coming back until the last student comes home safe. That's an India that we have not seen in the last 75 years. And the fact that today, at that point of time, Ukraine and Russia, which are still at war, but they were at war then, ensured that there was safe passage for Indian students. Could you contemplate that? No. Today, Strait of Hormuz, the only country that has had a breakthrough today is India. Our LPG tankers, our LNG tankers, our crude oil tankers, 20 tankers, 16 lakh metric tons, 16 tankers of crude oil, close to about 10 tankers of LNG, 3.5 lakh metric tons, 8 tankers of LPG, 2.5 lakh metric tons, all given safe passage from the Strait of Hormuz. Something that we could not comprehend earlier. If you look at infrastructure, you look at our economic growth, the numbers that we are seeing, my past portfolio, we had 74 airports. Today we have 160 airports. Right. 74 airports in 70 years and, an additional of 84 airports in 12 years. These are numbers that have not been comprehended before. So you've got a leader who's taking the country forward. Everyone wants to be a part of that movement. There is no time for nakaratmak soch in our country. There is only time for sakaratmak soch and to move the country forward.
All right. Jyotiraditya Scindia, thank you so much for taking the time out and
thank you
addressing
for having
the Times
me.
Now Summit. Thank you so much.